Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with Emmett Muckles. Today is a day that you were given another blessed chance. But, normally I go through how you are a billionaire, but I'm going to go a totally different direction today. I'm going to give you a lesson in life. And there's this analogy. If you ever seen a track and race competition, there's this rule that everyone has to abide by, but no one really talks about it, but it is so very important. And in order for you to come out victorious there, you have to obey this rule for the most part. That rule is stay in your lane. Most people don't do that. They're so busy looking at the lane next to them and the lane behind them that they get off their premise. And if you want to be the billionaire that is comprised of billions of cells, stay in your lane. Because once you do that, you will find that the pathway is so very clear. So that's out the way. And today I have Becky. I can call you Becky, right?
Please.
It's Rebecca Morrison. We're going to talk about happiness. We're going to talk about kind of like what I was just talking about. Mm-hmm. Stay in your lane. You wrote a book. You're coaching. So these are some of the things I'm going to delve into. But I have to get to the first question that I always ask all my guests. What got you to now?
I was thinking about how I was going to answer this question.
Oh, you've heard it before, huh?
I've heard this question, not to spoil the surprise or anything, but, and I think what got me, what gets one from being a lawyer to a happiness coach, except a whole lot of leaning into, and I think stay in your lane is such an interesting way to put it, leaning into figuring out what my lane is.
Yeah. That's a good thing that you said, because, a lot of times, especially it's changing slightly with COVID and the new paradigm shift. But you go to high school and people say, you got to go to college. Mm-hmm. You don't have a clue about life. You don't know what you like, but you're like, okay. Is that something similar that went on?
And that you've hit the nail on the head, right? So it went further for me. It was like, you got to go to college. Okay, I went to college. I thought I was going to be pre-med, decided that science classes were not where it was at for me. So it was a political science major. So med school was out. And then I got a job with the knowledge that I was expected at some point in the next 3 to 5 years to go to grad school. And then it was, what kind of grad school? Well, medical school is out. That leaves law and business, because I don't know anything else that I would specialize in well enough to want to get a master's degree in something.
Right.
And so literally, I didn't actually flip a coin, but I may as well have flipped a coin between law school and business school. Went to law school. That's where I landed, became a lawyer, was a litigator for a handful of years, and then began to feel the tension of, here I am, a litigator. At this point, I'm married. I've got a toddler. What does it look like to be a mom, a litigator, married to somebody who also has a really intense job? And so thus started my exploration of, what is my lane? What do I want to be doing with my time, my energy, my resources? What lane do I want to be running in? Not the lane that I should be in, not the lane that my parents think I should be running in, not the lane that the world's telling me to run in, but what is Becky's lane? And then let's figure that out and run in it.
You have come up with, well, let's go. Let me diverge a little bit.
Yes, please.
You came up with, and the founder of the Butterfly Society.
Yeah.
Graduated from UC Berkeley. You're an executive certified coach, executive coach. You're like me. You like to help people. I will give my last drop of blood just to make somebody happy. But something is amiss in this world. Now, I want to diverge because I've been reading this book, hard times make hard men. Strong men. Hard times make strong men.
Okay.
So, and it's a very masculine book. It is a book written for men, which is very rare because if you go to the bookstore, there's a cacophony of stuff on women, and then there's like 3 books about men's psychology.
It's true. You're not wrong.
But the old school thing was we talk about happiness now. Happiness gets into your feelings. Old school men and men of thousands of years of evolution, to put it bluntly, F your feelings, get it done. Mm-hmm. But we're in this culture now where everything is in the emotion. And I understand that we are going through a cosmic shift. We're in the feminine age. So how do you help people find their happiness?
So first I want to respond to, I think you're right that it's not just for men that we've been told to leave our feelings by the wayside. I think it's for anyone who's been asked to exist in a piece of the world dominated by masculine energy.
But where is that not historically?
Well, that's right. There are limited places where that's not. So I guess my point is, even as women, feelings are okay, but only in certain contexts. And where I sit on feelings, which I think is a part of dealing with happiness, is that every single feeling or emotion, depending on what word you want to use, that we have brings us wisdom. So they're actually just tools in our toolbox to understand where we are, what we care about, and what might need to change. And so if you can divorce feelings from this notion of there are good feelings and bad feelings, and just accept that there are feelings that are trying to bring you a message. The message might be that you care. The message might be that you achieved something you're proud of. The message might be that you hurt somebody you didn't mean to. But they all have wisdom. And so that's just one step on the road. But I think it's, for me, how I help people live happier is by giving them a toolbox of things that they can use as life changes and evolves.
Okay, that works.
So that's a high level. That's a high level answer, right? But really, so dial it down one more level. I wrote a book. It's called The Happiness Recipe. I think everybody has a recipe that's unique to them and the season that they're currently in. And so what I help people do is connect with that, connect with identifying what matters most to them, and then doing as much as possible of that and as little as possible of the rest of the noise that the world brings us.
So in this, what is is there a percentage that are men and women, certain age groups that follow
I work with?
Yes.
I set out to do this work thinking that my focus would be on so the way I describe it is I help successful but unsatisfied high achievers find their happiness recipe. And I thought that my focus would be on women. The reality is my client list is about 50-50.
And that's understandable, particularly because right now men are going through some things.
Yeah.
People,
we all are, but it's a unique time for men. It really is.
Yeah. It's a unique time because the definition that you were given, society has changed it. And so if you're 28, you've had that, right? You kind of had this thing ushered in and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yep.
Wait a minute, what am I?
Yes. How do I fit in? What's good? What's bad? Absolutely. And then I think the other thing, and I was just talking about this with somebody, one of my clients, there are so many men who are seeing what running a home looks like on a daily basis who weren't exposed to it.
Oh, I told you my story, the children that I have. Mm-hmm. So that still scares me.
Yeah. But I mean, I think, when you and there's a reason why women have left the workplace in droves. I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now in that dynamic, but I literally just was talking to a client about, he's like, I have a lot of my peers, a male client, a lot of my peers are going through this wake up of, oh, wow, this is bigger than I thought, more than I thought, different than I thought.
Right.
It's not fair to ask one partner to bear so much of the mental load. And I didn't even realize it was there because we're trained from young, we were trained from young.
Wait a minute, go back. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Say that again. You said a partner to
bear the so
are you talking about typically the female partner or
typically, but not always, right? And there are not every couple is a heterosexual couple. So I want to acknowledge that, right? But I think in a traditional sense, it is typically the female partner who not only bears an expectation around their contributions to making the home, but there's this other whole layer of work that is just a thinking, mental task, tracking, making sure the trains run on time work.
Yeah.
That sort of by default has fallen over time to the female partner in a heterosexual relationship. And men are witnessing that in a way that they haven't witnessed it before because all of us have been together, or so many of us have been together in our homes for now a year, and so we're seeing it, whether whoever is doing it, we're just seeing the way that our spouses and our families function in a much more up close and personal way than we've had access to, again, speaking generically, in a long time.
I'm wondering about this. There's always a lot of things that are just flowing through my head as I am a voyeur of society. One of the big things is just looking at relationship. And one of the things I came up with is most people have children. They introduce children into the relationship way too early. The reason I say that, because we've been talking about the 1,000-year previous, right? You didn't live that long.
Right, you didn't have time.
Yeah. Like 40, it was a wrap.
Yep.
So, like 13, 14, 15, you were having kids. But then, as the Industrial Revolution and stuff, and our level of comfort we kind of moved it back a little bit. But people are still having children very early. I think Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, men shouldn't even think about it till they're at least 30. At least. They shouldn't even think about getting married till they're 30. I can attest to that one because something was wrong with me.
There's all kinds of studies that have been done about the difference in brain development. So that tracks with that, right? That you're, as a male, your frontal lobe isn't developed until much, much later. And then you need some practice with training wheels to get it rolling. And that is a biological reality. Yeah,
but we just didn't do it right. But there's one thing. There's one thing that so many people, particularly women, go through. They have this identity crisis, and I speak with some of my female friends who are not, who weren't born in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I hear from them, they're like, I don't care. I just want to be a woman. I want to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be you. I don't want to be your dad. I want to be fully feminine. And some of my friends that are here, they're like, rah, rah, I can do everything else. And then they have this epiphany like, oh my God, there's a lot on my plate, but I can do everything. Like they're talking themselves into it. And I'm like, there's only so many hours in the day. There's so much time. Do people really believe they can have it all? Or should they believe they can have it all?
That's a big question. And I would answer it like this. I think where we get tripped up is in our definition of all and what all is for us. And do I think that I can have it all? Yes. But I know everything I want and I'm real clear on it.
Oh, good one.
Right?
That is a good one.
And I will tell you, I mean, I tell a story often that happened early in my career. I call it my bathtub moment, which is not what it sounds like. But I found myself one Tuesday evening on the floor of the bathroom with a toddler in the bath and a cordless phone clipped to the back of my pants and notebooks on the toilet seat cover and papers spread all around me. And I was trying to prepare an expert for trial and bathe the toddler at the same time.
What?
And I thought to myself, like, this is it. Like, I'm the epitome of the super mom, right? Like, I've got a high powered career. I'm taking care of my kid. Like, everything is happening all at once. This is amazing. And then, like, not even a breath later, I thought, and I am exhausted.
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. And do I even want to be doing all of this? And sort of that was that kicked off this inquiry into really getting tuned into what mattered to me in that season of my life and kind of cutting out some of that noise. And so, yeah, I think now as 45-year-old Becky, I can have it all, but that's again, because I'm clear on what I want, what all means to me.
Yeah. I see so many people struggle with it. I have a dynamic, responsible, mature, emotionally mature wife this time.
Good. Well, that's good.
Shh, we won't say that too loud.
Yeah. I was going to say, you landed in the right place. That's all that matters.
And, she's helped me grow. And my wife is 17 years younger than I am.
Okay.
But she comes from a different mindset. She comes from a different country. And she's trying to understand some of this stuff here. Mm-hmm. Like one thing she says, she's like, America is all a lie. Mm-hmm. I was like, duh. I was like, yeah. It's television. But with that, how are people going to be happy? This is a loaded one.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
All right. Let's say a cisgender heterosexual couple.
Okay.
All right. Male, female, right?
Yep.
They both have jobs. Mm-hmm. They have a few kids, right? Mm-hmm. She says, I'm not happy with my job. I need to step back. And he goes, okay. Conversely, same scenario. He says, I need to step back from my job. Now, the difference is society, on one hand, might look down on the male for doing that. But the female, they be like, we get it. Mm-hmm. In this time where, the scales are balancing, they're tipping. What do you see for that? I mean, because now you have a stress of people looking at you side eye, like your dad, your mom, your aunts, your friends. They're like, what are you doing, bro? You're the man. Mm-hmm. How do people navigate stuff like this?
Well, let me first tell you that you are talking to one half of a cisgendered heterosexual couple who experienced that in both ways, where the husband said, I need to step down and step aside, and where I at one point said, I need to step off this track. So I've literally lived through both sides of that and lived through what it looks like and the judgment that comes. And granted, I'm just one person with my own particular community and circle, right? But I've seen what that looks like. And I think for me, it comes back to, are you really connected with yourself and what matters to you and allowing your voice to be the loudest one in that decision? So if I, Becky, believe I need to step back from my job or change a career or become a happiness coach, then I need to be willing for that voice that's saying, this is what I need, this is what I'm doing, to be louder than the voice of my parents or the voice of my former colleagues or the voice of my friends who are asking these questions or perhaps bringing their judgment, right? Mm-hmm. If it's really important to me, I need to be willing to own my decision authentically and really do what I need to do from a mindset perspective to get secure in doing that.
That's awesome. BM.
It is awesome. It's hard to do. I'm not trying to paint it like you just fix your mindset. It'll all be good. Like, let your voice be the loudest. It is that simple, but it does require change. It does require work. It does require growth, and it sometimes requires support.
Yeah, because, you may need a change.
Mm-hmm.
But after, and we're going to get into the seasons now.
Okay.
You may require a change. Like you might be on a job where you're like, I'm slapping the first person that comes through my I'm not advocating violence. I'm just.
That's where you're at. No, I understand. Like that might be where you're at.
That might be where you're at. But the season of that is over. Sometimes people stay in summer when it's actually winter. Or they're still like wrapped up in winter clothes and they should be in their summer. How do people decipher what season they're in? Because we're not the same person throughout our entire being.
No.
Our interests are different. Things change. So how do you figure that out?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll give you a great example of a time where people didn't let go of the season. Because there are some seasons that we choose and some seasons that come to us. And March 2020 is a great example of a season that came to us.
Yeah, buddy.
And we had a lot of people who didn't change clothes, who didn't adjust to the reality that we were in a new container of context. And that caused a lot of unhappiness. It caused a lot of tension, simply not accepting that the season was different. And so I'll just speak for myself personally, but I also do this with my clients. One of the first things when I'm walking along and things have been going well, and then all of a sudden there's a little bit more tension and unhappiness, one of the first questions I will ask myself is, has my season changed in some important way? Am I looking, am I standing on the edge of a new season where I need to be thinking about different expectations, different actions, changing jobs, whatever it may be? Is there something that I'm not sort of taking in about the reality of my season that is causing this tension and unhappiness?
I can tell when my seasons change. It's so loud because my solar plexus start freaking out.
There you go.
I'm like, something's wrong.
Yes.
And I found out it's just something's going to change.
You're just anticipating the change.
Yeah. Like usually when that thing starts flaring up, I'm like,
it's coming.
So like, I remember when I got divorced, I was like, something's going to change. Sometimes it feels bad when it happens, but in the scheme of life, it's a good thing. Sometimes you have to pivot.
Yeah. Well, and I want to challenge your word there a little bit. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable when it's happening, but we have to stop associating discomfort with badness. It's not bad. It's just uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable.
Yes.
That is a good thing, not a bad thing. Truly. Think about it. Almost always change ends up being long-term positive for us. Not all the time, but almost always. If discomfort signals change, then as you point out, discomfort just means good things are coming. I'm growing, I'm changing. This is my chance to evolve, to step into the next thing. So rather than viewing that discomfort as something unwelcome or something that you need to quote unquote fix, just embrace it as an indicator of growth.
Like when I started doing yoga and I was in a lot of pain, but I grew.
Kind of like that. Yeah, no, that's a good example, actually.
Yeah, I was so uncomfortable, but then I was like, wow, I can tie my shoe.
Yep.
I can just bend over and tie my shoe.
Yep.
I don't need those dad shoes with the Velcro.
And it's funny that you mentioned yoga because my husband has just started doing a bunch of stretching and he came downstairs the other day and he's like, look how far I can almost touch my toes, like without having to bend my knees. I'm like, that's amazing, right? Like,
I'm going to give you an app for him when
okay.
we're done. It is the bomb. There are so many coaches. This is a question that popped into my head when my consciousness kind of reached out to yours earlier today.
Okay.
Because I started, over the last couple of days, I was thinking about coaching because I get a lot of inquiries from coaches. I'm like, there can't be that many freaking coaches in the world. But then I thought about it because I had some situations in my life where I was too close to the subject matter to see it for what it was. That's when I was like, now I understand how people need a coach because sometimes they're so close to a situation, it's obvious to everyone else and they won't see it. But their friends can tell them, hey, man, hey, woman, you need to flip this. And they're just like, nah. But if some third party, unbiased, I don't know you from Adam person gets wind of it and they say, you need to, and they go, oh, really? Maybe right. So now I understand the part of coaching, but what drove you to coaching?
So I want to, again, I'm going to save the answer for a minute and just say this. The word coach gets used a lot for people who perform a lot of different functions. And so, yeah, there are a lot of coaches. I mean, so like my husband's a basketball coach. Coaching athletics looks very different from coaching people or coaching happiness. So we use the same word, but it has those two different meanings already. And then there's a lot of people out in the world who are like what I would really classify more as mentors or guides, right? So like a business coach is actually you're going to them because they have some business expertise. They have some systems that you want to deploy. The kind of coaching that I do is more like holding up a mirror, spotting patterns, helping you uncover the answers that you already have, but in a way that I'm only invested in you. So it's not like your wife or your best friend or your coworker who also has some investment in the outcome, but it's me sitting with you to say, okay, where are we? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? And then, you point out, you gave the hypothetical of a situation where, your friend has told you that you need to, and your spouse has told you that you need to. As a coach, it's not that I'm telling you that you need to, but I might sit in front of you and say, that you said A, and then 15 minutes later you said B, and now you said C. When I put those three elements in front of you, what do you want to do with them? And then the conclusion becomes obvious, whatever it might be. And it might match what your husband or wife or sister or brother or whoever said, but it might not. So for me, a big part of my job is creating space for possibility and for my clients to explore what's possible and to say some of the things that we don't say to the people close to us because we're afraid to say it.
Yeah.
It's a safe space to say, you asked me what led me to coaching. I hired a coach. And one of the first things I said is, I've always wanted to be a coach. I've always wanted to have my job be serving and helping and enabling the success of other people. But I don't know if I can do it because I've never tried.
Right.
But I had never said that out loud to anybody before that conversation.
How many people do, and this is one of those questions. It's the universal question. How many people get to answering this question that you may pose to them? What do you want? How many people can definitively say, boom, without saying, well, and you're steadily uncovering the layers of onions to get down to what they want?
So when we start our work together, probably 3% of people have a clear answer to that question. When we finish our work together, 100% of people can answer that question.
And that is the most important question when I am dealing with people. If I get frustrated, I will get down to this question. Just tell me one thing. What is it that you want? And it's not just in life; it's in conversation. Because sometimes, in
any moment,
sometimes people are just talking. What do you want? I'm confused. Are you just talking to talk to me? Do you just need to air some words, or do you want something? Because I'm a dude. If you come to me and you say, "Hey, I need to run something by you," I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to figure out the problem, and I'm going to give you I know that about me, especially after reading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I was like, that's me. But so often, our firmware gets corrupted. And our firmware gets corrupted because of what I call society media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, television, radio, print media. If we took that, if we had a coronavirus for media for like 2 years, our world would vastly change. How often do you have to tell, and I don't know if you do or don't, do you have to tell people you're digesting the wrong thing?
I don't think I would ever tell somebody you're digesting the wrong thing. I think what I would be doing is asking them, where does that come from?
Yeah.
And is that the source you want to inform this decision or this moment or you or your identity or your worth or any insert here thing? Yeah.
So in this time of COVID, how are you getting out to the public? Are you doing those workshops? Are you doing the items on Facebook, the Facebook Lives? Are you YouTube? What's going on?
I'm doing a lot of podcasting appearances like this. I do have a social media presence. I wrote a book, so that's getting out to the public. It just came out in April. But I have not sort of done a full scale blitz of trying to really show up all the time.
It's difficult.
It's difficult, but it's also not in alignment with what matters most to me and what feels right to me. And so I'm really trying to stay true to building a business in a way that feels right for that. And that might be a slower, less visible kind of experience. And I think that's okay.
So you want what's right for you. You want to connect with the people you need to connect with, not everybody.
Yes.
That's commendable. All right, we're going to do an exercise.
Okay, I'm ready. What?
You got to close your eyes.
Okay.
All right, everybody's gone. Husband's coaching, kids are gone, whatever. You're home alone. You're like, I got the house to myself all day. You might sit on the couch and you're like, I'm going to put some music on, give me a little drinky poo. I'm going to relax. I might even get in the bathtub and put that little thing across that has candles on it, but I'm going to chill. But then as you're settling in, you hear a knock at the door, the doorbell ring. You're like, what the? And you go answer the door. At the door is 18-year-old Rebecca Morrison. And she's looking at you and she's goes, ooh, God, your skin's so clear. But I'm here to ask you a question and I don't have a lot of time. What advice can you give me to ease the journey?
I'm trying to think about how to phrase it exactly, but I think it would. Can I open my eyes for the talking?
Oh, part? Yeah. I just had to get. I had to get you to picture
get
yourself.
Me in the moment. Okay. So I think it goes something like this. I think what I would say to 18-year-old me is that for the next 10 or so years, your job is to learn as much about who you are as possible. That means you should have as many experiences, try as many things, meet as many people as you possibly can to figure out what really feels good, fits, is exciting, is interesting, brings you joy. You won't get a prize for getting there fast. So just try to really take at least the next 10 years to soak in the present and to really connect and take stock of who you are. I think that's what I'd tell her.
Cool. That is so awesome. So where can people find the book?
So the book is on Amazon and other places that books are sold. It is called The Happiness Recipe. And they can also find a link to buy it on my website. And your I was just going to say, it's untanglehappiness.com. All
right. And Facebook? What is it under?
There is a Facebook page. I'm not as active on Facebook. There's a Facebook page for the book. I think it's just the happiness recipe. And then my name, Rebecca Morrison. There's a Facebook page for my business, which is Untangle Happiness. I think if you search that on Facebook. I am most active on Instagram, which is the.butterfly.society.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion is here. Remember, you are a billionaire. I end this the same way. 30 days after your inception, your mommy and daddy got together. Somehow, some cells start coming together, blessed with the cosmic power of dance. 2 became 4, 4 became 8, 8 became 16, 16 became 34, on and on and on. At the 30-day mark, you were a billion cells and you had not even touched the planet. So you are a billionaire. Stop tripping about money. It is the experience. We are human beings. Hue gives us a color. I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, blue, green, Zimbabwean, whatever, you have a color, because if you didn't, we wouldn't see you. We are made in the image of man. At least that's what we're told. Now, all the things that we were talking about comes to the last word, the being part. There is no manual. Our parents kind of screwed us up a little bit because they didn't have a manual. They were trying to figure it out and just trying to keep you safe for the most part. What I need you to do is get to know thyself. Love thyself. The next time you go to the shower and you get out, dab the little moisture off, drop your towel. Be naked as a jaybird. Be jiggly as all get out. Get up to the mirror, jiggle, 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 and look at yourself and love yourself, because no one can make you. You are as you are. Get close to the mirror and look at the iris in your eye, because it's like a nebula in the sky. As above, so below. As you get down into us, we look more like space than we do human, because we are fractal. As above, so below. When you meet someone with the nebula in their eye, like the one in the sky, like you have, treat them with love, honor, and respect. Till next time, I love you all. In case you haven't heard it, peace.